Hi, Joe La Bianca on John 1:21, and they asked John the Baptist, "What then? Art thou Elijah?" And he said, "I am not." "Art thou that prophet?" And he said, "No." Elijah in Malachi was a prophet to come to Israel during a very, very troublesome time. But those who feared being away from God would be healed by God. Yet those who did not care, well, they would be left without the branch. It says it right there. And I don't think it says the branch for no reason. Chapter Malachi 4:1, the wicked shall be left neither with root nor branch. Now Jesus is called the branch in prophecy. Elijah would tread down those who rejected the branch, or Jesus. And God would send Elijah right before the troublesome time, the most terrible time for Israel. Now it is said in the Bible that the first century was the worst time of all for Israel. Matthew 24:21. Listen to Jesus. "For then there will be great distress, unequaled from the beginning of the world until now, and never to be equaled again." It's talking about the first generation. It says, "This generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled." Now that's Matthew 24. I've proven many times Matthew 24 is 70 AD. Jesus also said, "There are some standing here who shall not taste of death until they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Now, obviously, the Roman Empire destroying the polity of Israel was the Son of Man coming in his kingdom, which is invisible. The church, meaning the Lord's house, is invisible, not on every street corner. And it is the kingdom of heaven on earth. Those who believe Jesus died for their sins, rose from the dead. That's the coming of the Son of Man. That's the kingdom of God on earth. How else will you explain, "There are some standing here who shall not die till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom"? The first century was the worst time. No. They asked John, "Who are you? Are you Elijah?" But John said he wasn't. Yet Jesus said he was. Who do you believe in the light of all this? Listen. Jonah was a reluctant prophet. Didn't think he was a prophet. Rejected his calling. Moses did too. He begged to not be one. He asked for his brother to speak for him. Gideon was a reluctant prophet. Me? I'm going to save Israel? Jeremiah was another reluctant prophet. Have I appointed you as a prophet to the nation? God said, "I have appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Jeremiah's response was similar to all the other ones. "Oh, sovereign Lord, I do not know how to speak. I'm only a child." God said, "Don't be afraid. I am with you." Oh, the Apostle Paul at the beginning. Me? I'm the worst of all sinners. How can I be the one who will bring to light your word? Isaiah was reluctant. So was John the Baptist. It's a lack of humility to say, oh, I'm a prophet of God. So of course he would say no. But Jesus said he was. What did Jesus say? If you are willing to accept it, John the Baptist is Elijah who was to come. But people aren't willing to accept it. I am. You see, it messes with their last days theology, which we know very little of. Now, in the light of all this, whom do you believe John was? I believe what Jesus said, that he was the Elijah who was to come. I am willing to accept it. He came to turn the hearts of the children back to the fathers, to set Israel straight. At first, bringing them back to the law in order to lead them to Christ, then diminishing the law ministry, giving his disciples to the grace ministry of Christ, and spoke things about Jesus that no other prophet spoke, of his being the Word, the greatest of the law. Yet he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than John. Because, see, the law was forcefully entered into. That was military religion. There's a military religion today. How did the Romans deal with the military religion of Israel in 2000 years ago? They went to the epicenter and destroyed it. It's the only way to do it, folks. Now, there's no such thing as a military religion. There was, so that Christ could be born. But now, faith, not religion, is the answer. Invisible church, a house without walls, without a ceiling, with the foundation of Christ. Living stones, people building up a church. Elijah coming first. John dressed just like Elijah. He lived just like Elijah. He was Elijah who was to come. If you are willing to accept it, Matthew 11:14. So I would say, forget about your last days prophecy. It goes against what Jesus said. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has more troubles than you can handle. Today has enough troubles of its own. No one knows the day nor hour, neither the Son at that time. I believe, of course, he knows now. I would suggest, if you want to read Revelation, the commentator named Keener, I think it's Kenner, Keener. And I was given that suggestion by a man who knows Revelation like no one I've ever met before in my life. So it's a book that people would have understood in 90 AD. John wouldn't write a book to people who would not understand it. The number 666 has an alphabetical equivalent, and it means the Latin kingdom. Now, there's some dispute about that, but I could take a photo of an old book I have showing you. So in Matthew 22, Rome was God's armies when they destroyed Israel and brought in the kingdom of God. But when Caesar Domitian came into power, they were the beast. Only for a year. Because then God killed Domitian, replaced him with another Caesar, and eventually Rome became the center of Christianity through Constantine. Now, you might dispute that, but at least they weren't getting burned up by Nero on human torches to light the streetways anymore. So, Elijah came already. He was John the Baptist. Thank you.